All right, let's try that again. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Wickham. I am a journalist with The Hoser, which is a hyperlocal publication here in Toronto. I think this is going to stay on my collar. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to give it a shot. I can leave it on the table. That's way better. So I have been working on a project we are calling the Grocery Tracker for the last year. We have been collecting prices from grocery stores in the city of Toronto to see how they change over time, to see how specific staples change, to see if there's changes between different stores. It's data that I think we should have always been tracking, but we never really took the time until, prices went out of control a couple years back, to really focus on them, right? So a little bit about me. I'm a data journalist. I wear a lot of hats. A lot of people in independent news end up doing a lot of different jobs. I started as a podcast producer. Oh, they told me this was the microphone. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, fantastic. I started as the podcast producer at The Hoser, and I was doing a post grad as a web developer at the same time. I produce a couple different podcasts still. Tech Won't Save Us. I think the host, Paris Marks, was a guest here a few months back, maybe a year ago. I also edit a show called Sources by Press Progress. I'm a web developer on the independent news aggregator Unrigged, and I grocery shop and eat food regularly, so I feel uniquely qualified to do this project. Why are we all here? Groceries are very expensive. Food insecurity is an increasing problem in Canada. There is a group named Proof at U of T. In their latest reports, 22.9% of households in the 10 provinces last year faced food insecurity. That's up from the year before. I think it was 18% around. But that's 1 in 5 children that are facing food insecurity. That's a massive societal problem. And I mean, grocery prices are affecting all of us. We all have to go grocery shopping. So I thought maybe we should be tracking this kind of stuff. What do we know about food prices? Let me move me so I'm not in the graph's way. This is the consumer price index for food items versus the consumer price index for all items. And if you can see, the blue is the food prices from about the end of 2021 to well into 2023. The food price index was much higher than everything else, which indicates that the price of food was increasing well above the rate of inflation. Inflation was very high. I don't know if you guys noticed that things got more expensive the last couple of years. This is a document that I got from the government. It's briefing notes for a grocery summit back in September. I used our lovely ATIP system. This is one of the few pages that isn't completely grayed out, but if you give it a quick read, you'll notice that the government is talking about how prices for food were increasing at 3 times the rate of inflation at one point. It's a lot. They also noted massive profit increases for major grocers. I know that makes some people upset. Let's not get into that. But where are we now? Inflation has cooled. Prices aren't increasing dramatically in the same way that they were, but they're still not good, right? We are now living with stabilized food prices that are continually bad. People are starting to feel the crunch now. If you live near a food bank, you might notice the lineup extending an entire block, like the one near my house. It is very evident that people are now feeling the crunch. So I should talk about the project a little bit. This is the grocery tracker. It is part of the data-driven reporting project supported by Northwestern University. It began as a way to see if we could track food price changes in the city. We have prices from 90 stores across the city on thousands of individual food items. I developed the idea for this news product, if you will, in a news product immersion class at CUNY in New York. Teachers thought it was a cool idea. I applied for a grant. We got the grant. It's never happened to me before. Just something like working every step of the way. And now I'm here in front of you guys. So I think I'm doing something right. The goals of the project, there's a couple different goals here, right? first off, I wanted to build a tool that we could all use to save a little bit of money on groceries. I don't think this is like the thing that is going to tip the balance for people. Like this is not going to rescue people from food insecurity. But if we can save a couple bucks on our grocery bill every single week, I think that's a good thing, right? Like I think we should be realistic in what we can do with data and collecting it and disseminating it and providing it to people. But if I can help people save money, like that's the thing that I would want to build. I also have this thing about journalism where I think there's too many people that want to be Hunter S. Thompson. I'm not Hunter S. Thompson. You look at me, I'm not a Hunter S. Thompson kind of figure. I oh stop. That's very nice that you think I'm Hunter S. Thompson, but no. I know how to code in MySQL, like that's not good. Hunter couldn't do that. But I do believe in service journalism. I think that one of the things when I was doing radio in Parry Sound, Ontario, the most one of the most important things I would do every day was do the weather report, right? Give people the marine weather, tell them if it's going to be choppy out on the water. Like this is stuff that is information that matters to people. It actually will make an impact in their life. If you knew that apples were $3 a pound cheaper a block away from your house, that would make an impact in your life. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to start doing more of. And I think that this project is a way of building that sort of infrastructure for that. I also believe in open data. I think the people here would probably agree with me that more data is good. We want to be able to make data informed decisions when we're at the grocery store. We don't want to be losing money just because we didn't know there was a better price somewhere else. I also want people to look at the Hoser's website. Bottom lines, we need people looking at sites. Bill C-18 was very bad for independent news. People don't, independent news organizations are no longer able to post on all the social media websites anymore because Meta has blocked their content entirely. So we need a reason to get people on the site. I think if we showed people where there was cheaper ground beef or cheaper bananas, maybe that's something that they'd be interested in. So how does it work? So just to be very clear, I'm focused entirely on the city of Toronto. I know my limitations as a coder. I know that this is a one-man job. I also know that there's already like 1,200 stores in the city of Toronto. I feel like there's you'll see a lot more like grocery apps these days that are all of Ontario or all of Canada. And more power to you if that's what you're doing. That seems crazy to me. I've just been scraping and collecting and building this community data project in Toronto. We have 25 million price points. It's a lot. It's a lot of numbers for me. I, I think I think there's people in this room that's not impressive to. That like for me, that's the biggest database I've ever had to deal with. I use Python for automated data collection. It collects the majority of the data, fits a simple database structure, and I upload it in like sort of a batch process. I do it overnights, weekly. 25 million price points. I already said that. Yeah, so we have data from 90 stores. We got thousands of different food items. I would like to get the data from the other 1,100 stores. I am not going to beat myself up too much about it. We'll get to them. We got time. The primary purpose of collecting this data was to write stories on what has changed with food prices. Price trends over time are a thing that we do quite regularly. If you can't really see because I keep putting my head in the way of the diagrams, but we got a thing about food decreases in the spring. We had strawberries, 1 pound strawberries drop in average about $3 per package. I then tried to do a story about it, and I talked to somebody who then told me it was supply and demand that did that, which I was like, no way. That's crazy. The market forces do that. But yeah, I am also working on a story about the changes in price at the 720 Broadview Avenue grocery store location that was a Loblaws until mid-April, and now it's a No Frills. And we're working through the data with like a simple grocery list to see how much per week a customer would be saving now that it's a No Frills. It's same company. I mean, there's a chance that it's going to be more expensive. Things change. Sometimes stores have different things. For July, ground beef has actually been more expensive at No Frills than it has at Loblaws, which is kind of interesting. So my database says. If you work at Loblaws and you think I'm a liar, then I mean, we can talk after. Um, this is just the very simple setup I have. It's a Node.js project. I use Express. I use my SQL. I'm not using a front end framework. I apologize to all the real coders in the room. It's it's just the way I learned I learned how to do things. I worked at a shop that was very big into Oracle, and everybody was a back end developer, and they had no time for front end frameworks. So this is how I learned how to code. I'm beginning to use HTMX and Alpine.js for some of the front end work, but let's get into some of the features. This is a thing that I've been very maybe the word obsessed is not the right thing, but I've spent a lot of time the last couple weeks trying to get this right. It's a price check tool. It's for someone who's just at the store trying to compare a price that they just saw to the stores near them. So essentially, you set your location either through allowing the location through your browser or setting it by an address. It'll give you the 10 closest stores in the database. Um, and then you enter a price item, which either uses the categories that are set based on Canada's national nutritious food baskets, or it does a full text search if it doesn't fit in that, and it'll give you the best prices for that specific item, similarly named items, et cetera, et cetera. And it'll rank them. They'll put your little price wherever it belongs in there. So you'll see very quickly if there's a price better for a similar item. We're also doing store comparisons. As you can see in this in this screenshot of a thing that's live on the site right now, ground beef is actually cheaper on average at the Loblaw stores in my database than the ones at No Frills. That's not the way it was last month, but that is the way it is this month, and I think that's quite interesting. So there's only 3 graphs you'll see right off the top. It's ground beef, all-purpose flour, and Honeycrisp apples. I've become obsessed with Honeycrisp apples. They're like I don't, this is like a weird thing. I like apologize, but like I'm now like, it's like strawberries, 1 pound, and Honeycrisp apples. The prices just do things that I don't fully understand. Like you'll see if you search Honeycrisp apples on my database or on the thing, you'll see it like it'll be as low as 227 a pound, or you'll see them all the way up at 549 a pound. And it's like, why? It's nuts, right? Like, what's blueberries? That's a bad joke. I apologize. There are limitations and obstacles to doing a giant web-based data-driven project like this. Web scraping collects large quantities of data. I'm sure you guys are not completely surprised by that. It also relies on stores making this data available. Larger stores have e-stores. They have ways of making that available. They have developers that work for them. They are pushing that data out. They're making money off that data being available because people are buying food from them. Local stores don't, and that's an issue. Things also change much quicker than I'd like, right? New items come in all the time. Old items sort of disappear. I have to stay on top of it when stores close, when stores change brand, when stores get sold. There's a new No Frills in Liberty Village. It's gonna ruin a weekend. I gotta make sure that stuff's going. And every store is different. Every store lists their prices differently. So we had to build a little bit of a structure to make sure that things were cohesive across multiple stores. One of the things that I've been working on lately is getting direct participation from businesses, local businesses that don't have e-stores, that are just interested in getting their prices out. There's one store in the East End called Raise the Root. It's an organic store. They made the news. Well, they made there was a blog TO article about them a couple months ago because they kept posting their prices in comparison to Loblaw's prices, which I thought was quite fun, and they were always posting like how they were beating Loblaws. And I've just sent them an email and asked if they would also want their prices in the database, which they said, yes, absolutely. And they have been sending me bi-weekly updates for the last couple months. I've started reaching out to BIAs to try and get interest in collaboration for specific neighborhoods, because I feel like if I'm just emailing every store, my inbox is just going to be a nightmare. We got to start like building some infrastructure, right? The last thing that I've been working on, this has been taking up a large amount of my time, is getting community involvement. I've been pulling in people to become code contributors to the project. Um, there's only a handful of us. We're just, trying to make the interface a little bit cleaner. We're trying to make things work a little bit better. Trying, like, if there's duplicates in the database, we're trying to get rid of them. But we're also getting contributors to collect data for us. People are going to grocery stores and uploading prices for us now. So just what in case you're wondering what a community data project is, it's a crowdsourced data collection project just to build a large data set. The best example of it I could think of is the New York Times birding project. They were trying to track where specific species of birds could be found in the US, and they used an app where you could upload data, or you could upload an image, name what the bird was, and the EXIF data on the image would then help people on the receiving end of that data map out the habitats of specific birds in the United States. It happened nationwide. It was an incredible use of data, in my opinion, and it's probably the reason that I did this project in the first place. Um, there's a lot of stuff that you need to know about community data projects before you get into it, and I wish I knew this. It's a slow build. It's not going to happen right away. I have been at it since early May, just trying to get user submitted data. We have a handful of people trained up on our little system on what sort of prices we're looking for, what kind of things we're trying to get, what stores we're trying to focus on. Um, but it is a slow build, and I'm trying to be realistic with my expectations. I don't think the slow build is from a lack of interest. I think it's more because of time constraints and funding limitations. I'd love to pay someone to just collect data for me all the time. That would make me very happy. Um, I don't have that money, unfortunately. It would be very nice to have more people submitting data, more people reviewing and validating data, more people helping on the front ends, more people telling me I'm doing a good job, et cetera, et cetera. Compliments go a long way. This is a very simple user submission tool that I built. It's not my finest piece of UX work. Please don't look at it. I wish I didn't put it on the PowerPoint. If it works, it works. Exactly. Right. It allows participants to quickly share prices with us. As soon as a registered user who's logged in can send a price in, and it goes to a moderation tool where I can review it. I then go through it, make sure it makes sense, approve or deny. If anything looks kind of fishy, I'd flag it, make sure that I have a conversation with the person who submitted it, and it's already in use. I mean, participants in this project are already sending me prices for stores in Kensington Market and Chinatown. As part of our pilot project, we're trying to refine this. This is like part of the process that I just kind of assumed it would work right away. It's which is a little naive. I understand. I'm an optimist, I guess. We're refining this. We're going to try and make this as good as we possibly can, as easy to use as possible. And then what we want to do is we want to apply this to different neighborhoods farther out that have less options for food, so they can start finding cheaper food and in some local alternatives. So why bother with user data? It seems like a lot of trouble, maybe more trouble than it's worth. I would disagree with that. Prices at local stores can be better than what large stores are offering. I went to Huasheng on Spadina today. They had yellow peppers for 99 cents a pound. That's a great price. You should all be more excited about this. We can all benefit from this data, though. There are risks allowing user submitted data. There are, you always have to be worried about bad actors. But I mean, not to sound delusional, the best case scenario, if the best case scenario is a Wikipedia for food prices in the neighborhood, that's something I'm willing to deal with, right? The goal is to find realistic ways of bringing our grocery bills down. I don't think anyone's going to drive across the city to save 55 cents on ground beef. But if it's around the corner, like, why wouldn't you, right? Like, it kind of makes sense to me. So I have trained every single person who is on this project so far. I have either a Zoom call or I've done it in person. They've either reached out through a form on the site or after hearing me on the news or podcasts. I've been on the CBC. I've been on TV in Vancouver talking about food prices because of the Loblaws boycott. Um, I had a community meeting at the Center for Social Innovation in May, where I had a handful of people join up on the project. We've got about a half dozen people that are working on this thing right now. If you're interested in contributing, please feel free to talk to me. Also, don't feel obligated. I'm not barring the doors. You're allowed to leave and not sign up for the project. Um, we have a lot of stuff to work on though. Um, I have a big story that I have to write out. And I mean, the editors of the news organization that I'm a part of would like more stories. I kind of like focusing on the data stuff. I like focusing on the coding. I just kind of get lost in that. And then they're like, "That's great, Eric. Where are the stories?" They're in the to do pile, right? So like, I got to work on that. We're seeking partners and funders to expand and like improve and refine data collection and stuff. We want to do this as long as we possibly can. We're trying to find a way of making this sustainable. Um, we got a lot of coding to do as well. We also have a community event coming up in Kensington in the near future. A couple weeks from now, we're all going to collect prices all on the same day and then hang out afterwards. If that sounds interesting to you, if you live in the neighborhood, feel free to stop by. I will share the details with you if you are interested. Thank you so much. I talked so much just all in a row there. I really apologize if I was talking too fast. This has been a thrill for me. I used to go to these talks when I was just going through web dev school, and that was a big deal for me. Thank you.